Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very interesting video because it has some massive announcements and essentially every single thing we're talking about is confirmed. Like, this is stuff you would normally see in leaks or rumors, but I think honestly, maybe for the first time ever, everything we're talking about today is confirmed. Huge updates, massive games potentially coming over to the Switch 2, and another update about Nintendo DS coming to Nintendo Online. So all that and more. Let's go and get right into this one. Right now in the gaming world, things just feel so weird because you want to be excited, right? As a gamer with consoles, especially the Switch 2, but other consoles as well, you just want to be excited. And, you know, I understand everything is a business and everything is about making money, but companies seem to just shoot themselves in the foot and kill off their fan bases almost overnight. So it's almost hard to be excited about the future of gaming. But with Nintendo right now, I'm just saying, man, things are looking pretty good. And this video right here is evidence of that. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Also, if you could follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we could keep our communities growing, well, hey, I would really appreciate that. And let's just go ahead and get right into this. So the first thing I would like to do is talk about the new Switch 2 model that is confirmed to be coming out this year, as well as, I guess, things that come with that. And I know this news is about a day or two old, but I was making other videos while this news was coming out. So in September or August, in Europe, there will be a revised Switch 2 with a 1% smaller battery that is user replaceable, and its bundled Joy-Con 2 controllers will also contain user replaceable batteries. That one's a little bit more interesting. It even says here though, the revised Switch 2 will be 10 grams heavier than the current model. So I don't know why it has to weigh more, but yeah, this is very interesting stuff because I thought, you know, when this happened that it would be just easier to take the battery out, but essentially it's just going to have a removable battery. Like, it's going to be a different battery entirely. And I've actually seen a lot of people say that they've been waiting to get a Switch 2 and now they just might import the one from Europe. And I can't really argue against that. Now, something that's very, very interesting from this though is the Switch Pro controller, or the Switch 2 Pro controller, will also have a replaceable battery. I heard, or I read, and I could be wrong, that the Switch 2 Pro controller will only last like 6 or 7 hours compared to the 12 or 15 hours it does now, because the battery is going to be much smaller. Like I said, I could be wrong on that, but I've read that multiple times, and I think even like the GameCube controller is getting changed. Pretty much everything that has a battery now has to be replaceable because they have the right to repair. But something else that's going to happen directly from this is in Europe, or yeah, I believe Europe, Nintendo is going to stop releasing the Nintendo Switch, Switch Lite, and Switch OLED, as well as all the controllers, I guess, for the Switch. It's just going to stop entirely, I think in like March of 2027. Now, I think they're still going to be selling the Switches, like the Switch ones, around the rest of the world, but I could honestly see this be kind of a slow phase out of the Nintendo Switch. Like, they start in Europe, and then maybe they just don't stock them in other places, and then maybe by the end of 2027, that's just the end of the Nintendo Switch. And again, it's like, what else could you ask for? It got a full decade on the market. It got some amazing games. But honestly, I think we should only be focusing on the Switch 2 moving forward. So this is very interesting, man. The question I have is, will we see some of these Switch 2 show up in America? Or would they only make it for Europe? Why would they not just make these entirely and put them out across the rest of the world? These are questions I need answers to, but this is a pretty substantial update, man. Now, something I normally don't care about and report on that much is like Legos and figures and stuff, but there is new Pokemon Lego sets coming out in October, and as somebody who grew up with Generation 1, who is still so nostalgic for Generation 1, I mean, it's other Pokemon as well, but there's a lot of stuff in here that I just want. This Arcanine Lego set I want so bad. Arcanine28 at AOL.com was my very first email ever when I was 8 years old. Arcanine's always been one of my favorite and was actually going to be a legendary Pokemon. I think it is a legendary in China. And then there's this Pokeball Lego set with Eevee and Pikachu and Red or Ash or whoever the hell it's supposed to be. and Professor Oak. Bro, oh my god, it looks so damn cool. And then there's another Munchlax Pokemon set, which also looks pretty cool as well. So like I said, I normally do not care about these Pokemon and Lego together. This sounds like a scalper's dream, so it's something I'll probably never own, but man, they really knocked it out of the park with these. And then quickly, before we get into some other bigger updates, a new Shantae game is officially in development and releasing next year. So if you don't know what Shantae is, it's a great 2D platformer. I think the first one came out all the way back in 2002 on the Game Boy Color, and the games are timeless in my opinion. They're really fun. You can actually buy most of these on the Switch already. So yeah, it's just really cool to see a game like this have this kind of staying power, and I'm very curious what kind of game it will be, because this will be a game releasing on the Switch 2, the PS5, and I'm gonna assume Xbox as well. So maybe we get like a 2.5D platformer some way, somehow, or maybe they make a full-on 3D platformer. And I know not everybody will care about this, but I'm a huge fan of Shantae and like the history of the game and the character and everything, so I'm very excited for this. So a game that came out in the last few months that I know a lot of people are very excited for was Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. The titles are always so crazy. It's a series I want to get into, but I feel like there's just so many Warhammer games and figures and lore. It's just, I don't know where to start, right? But these games, or this game, did come over to the Switch too, and unfortunately, it was just a bust, man. I seen gameplay that just, I didn't even buy the game, but it was making me angry. Like, how could you release something in this state on the Switch too? But they did. But today, there's actually a positive update for this, and if you were thinking about getting this game, or you got this game, this is some good news. So Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader got a major update fixing things, and Rogue Trader DLCs on Nintendo Switch will become free as a compensation for the issues. So at least they didn't abandon it. I really don't understand why games like this launch in this state, like Cyberpunk and other stuff. I don't want it to happen, but I understand there's like investors and shareholders and all these people pushing it out. But something like this, why not release it until it's ready? Maybe they just want to capitalize on the Nintendo Switch 2 hype. I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense to me. So luckily, this was not an abandoned port, and it seems like everything is working good now, and there's free DLC, and free DLC is awesome, because when I was a wee young lad, that's just what DLC was. Like, you would beat the game, and you would get stuff for free. That's not a thing anymore. Now, one of the biggest games of the year so far, besides GTA 6 and the Ocarina of Time remake, I think this is the other biggest game that came out this year, and sold like 10 to 15 million copies or something, and that is Crimson Desert. This is allegedly, from the outside looking in, like the ultimate open world game. It does have a story, but the story isn't the focus point. The focus point, at least to me, seems like exploration, and that sounds like a good time. So what about this game that is absolutely massive coming over to the Switch 2? More and more, these things just seem like they're possible, and now it seems like it's just straight up kind of in development for the Switch 2. So I'm actually reading this directly from the shareholder meeting they recently had. You mentioned platform expansion for Crimson Desert. What is a possibility of a Nintendo Switch 2 version? And the CEO says, we believe it's important to showcase Crimson Desert on as many platforms as possible. We are reviewing the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's currently being developed to a level where basic gameplay is possible. However, platform expansion is not just a simple port. The key is whether we can fully maintain the graphics, action, and open world experience of Crimson Desert on that device. The Switch 2 version still requires optimization and technical verification, and we must also review partner collaboration on whether it meets our quality standards. We will announce it transparently once there is confirmed information. So they are straight up just trying to develop this currently for the Nintendo Switch 2, and technically it is in development for the Switch 2. Now, how far it will get in development is another thing, but there was a rumor like 6 months ago that they really wanted to get this on the Switch 2, and everybody said, there's just no way. But look at all the stuff we've got so far. Cyberpunk, and Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Rebirth, and Pragmata, and Resident Evil Requiem, and other stuff I'm sure I'm forgetting, and all this other stuff that's on the way. More and more by the day, the Switch 2 is really holding its own. And everybody was saying after a year of the Switch 2 being out, it's going to be left behind by the next generation of consoles. But the Switch 2 is here to stay, and as long as things are properly optimized for it, bro, it's just going to happen. Like, why would you not want it to happen? And again, not to bring up GTA 6, but I truly just think straight up GTA 6 is coming to the Switch 2 at this point. Like, I know it's a if, maybe, or it could be possible kind of thing. Not anymore, man. I just straight up think GTA 6 at some point is coming over to Switch 2. Definitely not this year, but at some point I think we just straight up see it, especially if we're going to get games potentially like Crimson Desert. And then before we get out of here, I found another update about Nintendo DS coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I found a trademark. I was the first person and probably only person to talk about it. And then I think Furukawa was talking in a shareholder meeting and people were saying, what about the DS games or 3DS coming to Nintendo Online? And they said, we want to get all those games playable some way on the Switch 2. They didn't say how, but it was something like that. So I went back and checked out that trademark today. It's being reviewed to be approved. So as you can see, this was filed on April 16th of this year. The status date was June 12th of this year. When you look at the TM5 status, it says live application under examination. And once something is examined and then finally approved, then that trademark will go live. And once a trademark goes live, well, then we see that in some shape or form. So you can see on June 13th, this trademark was prepared for review. So any day now, this is probably going to get approved because the design codes even say digital music player / handheld video game player, tablet computers, handheld video game players with screens. Video game players with screens. So maybe this is the attachment for the Nintendo DS screen. And that would be very interesting because that's the only way they're probably going to get Nintendo DS to work on the Switch 2. Like, they could do some screen and screen share thing or something that some of the emulator consoles have. But I honestly think that second screen attachment is looking more and more plausible. And I think this is what that trademark is probably for. So man, we really might get Nintendo DS at that next major Nintendo Direct in like September or October. And if they open up the DS library on the Switch, bro, oh my God, it would be so damn peak. And Nintendo Online at that point, the rollout was kind of slow with games, but we get DS and 3DS and eventually Wii all on Nintendo Online for the Switch 2. There's going to be no better service in the history of gaming. The Switch 2 will have everything I could possibly ever want. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. We talked about a lot. So let me know what you guys are thinking about all this. And if you made it to this part of the video, if you could do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter on the way out. And consider becoming a channel member because it would just mean the world. It would really help support the community. And yeah, I would really appreciate it. And you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.